Guys, I'm making another crockpot meal tonight that's pretty simple. I thought I would give you guys the recipe for. It's called chicken alabam. I don't really know how to describe the flavor. It's just chicken with kind of like a gravy kind of over it. But what you'll need for the chicken is 3 chicken breast halves, flour, paprika, salt, thyme, and a dash of pepper. You mix that all together and you put it on a plate. So I've already done that right over here. I'll put the recipe on there, but I'll tell you what it is. It's 1/3 cup of flour, 1/2 teaspoon of paprika, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of thyme, and a dash of pepper. You just put that all on the plate and then you just mix it up. This is just a flour dredge for your chicken. And once you get that all mixed together, then you're going to dip your chicken in it and put it on a hot pan with 5 tablespoons of butter. Okay, now I've got my butter melted and my pan hot. I always use less butter than it calls for. It calls for 5 tablespoons. I usually do about 2, maybe 1 or 2. So you just get your chicken, and you can do whatever you want. The more you add, the more flavor it's going to have, but it also adds more calories, and I try to watch that always. Who doesn't, right? You just dip it, make sure it's covered best you can on both sides, plop it in your pan, and all you're doing is searing it. You're not cooking it because that will cook in the crock pot. But this adds a lot of flavor and moisture to your chicken. I didn't have chicken breasts, so I just used tenders. And you can use that too. I just estimated about what 3 chicken breasts would be. So when you get that all done, you just put it all in the crock pot, and I'll show you what that looks like. And this is what the chicken looks like after you've kind of seared it. You just need it to be golden, and that's all. And then you just transfer it over to the crock pot, and then we're going to make this. Okay, I've got the chicken all transferred to the crock pot now, and it's also important, do not throw away your extra dredge. You will use that in the sauce. We're going to get the sauce started now. Okay, and for the sauce you're going to need lemon juice, 1/2 and 1/2, pimentos, which are just like little jarred peppers. They're not spicy at all. My kids eat them and they're fine. And chicken broth, finely chopped onions, and your leftover flour dredge. Your next step is to melt some butter in the pan. You're actually only supposed to use 3 of the 5 tablespoons. I read it wrong in the first part, and then you use the last 2 for the saute and the onions. And like I said, I use less than they call for every time, so I don't want to use 2 more tablespoons in this. So you just melt the butter down, and then you grab the onions. You saute these for 5 minutes. And then you stir in the flour mixture that's left over from the dredge, and you get that good and combined. I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Okay, so I've just added the flour after cooking the onions for 5 minutes. You just kind of mix them together. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then you add 1 cup of your chicken broth. And now you just cook this until it gets thick. Just kind of break down all of the flour. It's already starting to thicken up, you can tell. You can turn down the heat if it's going too fast. And then when this is thick, you're going to add in your cream and your lemon juice and pimentos. And I only have 1 hand to do this, so I'm going to add those, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to add 1/2 cup of 1/2 and 1/2. and 1/4 of a teaspoon of lemon juice, which I just mixed in with that, and then 2 tablespoons of pimentos. I usually just add the whole jar because they always go bad before I can use them again, and I like the flavor of them. But you can just add 2 tablespoons if you're not a big fan of that. And then you just combine this. And you pour it over your chicken that is in your crock pot. You bake it on high for about 4 hours, or you can do low for about 6 to 8 hours. Now those are just approximate times, so you might want to kind of check it, but that's about what I do. Now this is all mixed together, and all of the little like chunks of stuff, it'll melt down in, like if there's any thick chunks of flour. You try to get them all out, but they will mix down in. So I'm going to pour this over the chicken. Okay, and that's just what it looks like in the crock pot. So I'll just let that sit, and it's a nice meal. It's easy. It takes a little bit more time out of the crock pot, so it's not just like throwing stuff in, but it's easy, and you can still do all the prep work ahead of time, so if you have a busy evening. And dishes wise, that, and one pot. So it's really easy. We make some rice with it. I'm trying to see what it's called. Asparagus cashew rice pilaf. So I'm going to do a video on that next because that's what we have with it. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see ya. Okay, now it has been in the crock pot for just over 4 hours, so it's ready to eat. So we are going to dish it up as soon as I make our rice. And I will show you what the whole plate looks like. But I'll probably put it on the end of the rice video, so watch that one if you want to see it all together. But that's the finished product of the chicken.